Welcome to Centered the Podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Braverman, and I'm sharing holistic content that reconnects you to your most centered self, that place within you that is energized, knowing, and uplifted despite the chaos and demands of life. It's that place within you where you can become that portal of possibility. And today we're welcoming Kathy, a guide for women who sense there's more depth, more magic, more alignment, and who are ready to access it in a grounded and embodied way. Kathy bridges ancient wisdom and modern transformation, translating realms like the Akashic Record, energetic portals, and conscious manifestation into experiences that are personal, practical, and life shifting. Her work speaks to intelligent, intuitive women who have done the therapy, built the life, and yet still feel a quiet gap between who they are and what they're living. To work with her is to enter a field where awakening feels natural, abundance feels safe, and transformation unfolds through alignment rather than force. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you, Leslie. It's such a joy to be here with you.
We're so excited to talk to you about all these great things. You have such a broad background. Tell us a little bit about what led you to this type of work.
What I would have to say is that I was introduced to yoga as a teenager. I was really in some physical pain. And as soon as I started working with my teacher, Robert Bustani from Houston, I knew there was something really different about him and something that was really possible for me in the realms of like esoteric things. And he led me to a couple of books. One was Light on Yoga. The other was by Anna Dea Judith. I think something about wheels. I forgot the name of it. It was very long ago. And it just drew me in. I was so fascinated by the world of energy. And I took that year, I took a class on psychic development, on developing your psychic senses as well. So we would put a hand near a flower and see if we could feel it without touching it and stuff like that. And it really opened this whole world to me of sensing beyond the physical senses. And that journey has been a vast and broad one that's led me to studying with Kahuna from Hawaii and esoteric masters from other places, and really been such an unfolding gift.
It's so fantastic. And I love to hear how the body, a physical aspect of the body, is what led you into the esoteric. And I find that so true for myself, for the clients that I see. There's always some sort of lead or corridor that can set you into this portal of energy and portal of possibility.
Yeah, you never know where the door will be. I think for a lot of people, pain is a huge doorway into something more, or the fear or sense of loss, whether it's the loss of a loved one or potentially their own demise. It's like something clicks in us that there's something more than what we can see and sense and feel. And yeah, I've definitely found that to be the case for my clients and ultimately, pain is what led me here. So,
Yeah, and that sense that there was a solution somehow, somewhere in something, that inner sense that leads us into that next step. And that's a little bit what Kathy and I want to talk about today, that power of intuition. And Kathy is a specialist in intuition. A lot of her base teachings are in accessing the power and the confidence in your intuition.
yeah, I mean, my own journey with this, as I said, began as a teenager. And I remember sitting with some different exercises, and one would be like, oh, write three different options on a note card. Maybe like, oh, how do I want to spend my summer or whatever, and three different options. And then taking each of those into your hands and like just getting a sense of your feeling about it, or if any words came to mind, or and just playing. Another exercise I learned at the time was like we had voicemails at the time. I mean, we still do, but like it was an answering machine. And so when you go home, like kind of predict how many voicemails you're going to have when you get there. And so these ideas of just playing, right? Not making it too substantial and effortful, but just like, okay, let me see if I can do this. The idea of lightness really opens the door because when people put pressure on themselves, it's just harder. It's almost like the reverse of the headspace you need to be in.
Yeah. And like how that pressure can really close the funnel, right? We're really these big funnels of so much energy. And as long as the funnel is open, we're really open to receiving. Tell me a little bit more too with that. I've found that curiosity is a huge part of being willing to step into the space of uncertainty with the intuition.
Yeah, curiosity is such a doorway for so much good to come into our lives. I used to teach these classes all about asking questions so the universe can deliver something greater. Because when we're curious and we ask a question, it shines a flashlight in a certain direction. So when I love I wonder questions, like, oh, I wonder what it would be like to this, or I wonder how many voicemails I might have. I get the sense maybe four. Uh, and just that lightness that we have as children we're in that open curious space without so much judgment and conclusion about what will happen or what won't happen. I have this crazy analogy. As a child, let's say you get a tampon wet and you see like it expands and like what magic is that? Like, who knew that would happen?
It starts so small and goes
Right?
so
Like,
big.
whoa. And so like a Q-tip, what can I do with this? I can paint with it, I can dust things with it, I can stick it in my nose, I can, like just everything has multiple meanings, multiple uses, and that's so important when it comes to intuition to remember that. Because let's say I'm reading something for someone and I'm like, oh, well, I'm really getting this is coming to mind. It really happened. A woman asked, well, what would be good for me to be eating with my condition that I have? And it was so funny because I was like, well, all this citrus, the oranges, lemons, walnuts, this and that. And then she's like, those are the exact things I just bought at the store today, And so it's like, but when, I might say, oh, I'm getting a sense of like this, and that maybe it doesn't have anything to do with food. Maybe I'm getting a sense of like a family gathering, and does that mean anything to you? And then they'd be like, oh, well, I always used to have this. We used to always have parsley on top of everything, and so it's like not everything has to have a defined meaning, right? Like dreams in a way. A staircase in a dream for one person might mean something very different than a staircase for another person, or a flood in a dream for one person might be very different from a flood for another person. So it's all subject in a way to interpretation. And I think sometimes that's what the receiving end person needs to remember. Because if you go for a reading and things don't seem to land, it might just be because that person interpreted things in a way that weren't actually what was maybe a mushroom was coming through, and that to you means something very profound, and they interpreted it as like, oh, you're just in the dark, or you're or you need to
Yeah.
eat more mushrooms.
And
And
it's such a powerful remembrance, too, that we really are the ultimate best in receiving our own information and to really trust what we're receiving rather than looking outside of us for validation or interpretation. And yet at the same time, we're also mirrors for each other. And the person who's offering that can be so spot on in a way where the individual who is receiving this intuitive hit didn't have clarity, and another person provided that as a mirror. So it really does get a little bit complex.
Yeah, and so I recommend this to people. I I don't know where I got it. I may have developed it myself, where I would go for a reading and then afterwards, maybe I asked for advice on something big. Like a big life decision. I remember doing this with a big life decision, and I'm not going to say what it was, but it had to do with relationships. And they had some very specific recommendations. And when I heard those, they just didn't land within me. And that's your number one, like, invitation to ask more questions. If something feels off, that's it doesn't mean no. It just means let's explore a little bit more here, right? I said earlier, asking questions is like shining a flashlight. It's bringing the light of awareness in whatever area you're asking those questions about. So I had two readings from two different people, and they said a certain thing, and it didn't land well with me. It just felt off. So what I did was I said, okay, if I do what this person says, and I really got still. That's key. Like
Hmm.
I was
Yeah.
in nature, I got still, I got quiet. I took some breaths into my heart, and I have some meditations to do this on my website that you can access. I took some breaths into my heart and I said, okay, if I follow that recommendation, give me 3 words that describe what my life would be like. And I don't remember those specific words, but it was like heavy. It was like limitation. Yeah, they were bad, essentially. I mean, like if you're gonna judge something, I don't judge like that, but essentially they were like,
You
that's
would
not good
prefer
advice for
not, yeah,
you.
you would prefer not to experience that.
Right, right. Not things I want for my life. And then I said, okay, if I go the path that I'm feeling, if I do what I'm feeling I need to do, which was different from what she had said. She had said, like, both these people had said essentially, wait 6 months. And my body was like, no way. In the world, I could wait 6 months. So then if I don't wait 6 months and I do it, this month, what's that like? And just tap into the heart space. And it was like freedom, ease, enjoyment. And you have your answer, you know?
Instant. And it's instant and it's yours, and no one can take it from you. And I love how you really laid out getting into a quiet space, having a space of clarity where there's very little outside input happening to distract you, and to really tap into that heart space and be able to feel. That's the big one for me, is I can feel as well. And then for me as well, I've noticed like I just kind of know. I don't know how. It's just part of my like the part of the bridge that I built between my intuition, or between my soul and myself. I just know what's right in the moment. And then I also know that I always have permission to change it. And I love that freedom to know that I can follow the breadcrumbs and then I can change it.
Yeah, that's hugely freeing to know that you can change on a dime. And yeah, so you have claircognizance. You just know.
Yes.
Not
Yes. I
everybody
just know.
has that, right?
Mm-mm.
I mean, there's clairvoyance, which a lot of people associate with intuition. They think, oh, I'm gonna, like, if I am getting downloads, I'm gonna see them. Like, I'm gonna see what to do. And that's not actually true for everybody. Like lots of people are visual, but not everyone. And lots of people get visuals, but that's not, I would say that's not the majority of people. Then we have clairaudience, which is hearing. And many of us will hear. And sometimes it seems like thinking within our own head. Am I talking to myself? Like, who's saying that? Da, da, da. Then you have, claircognizance, which you said, just knowing. Okay. And there's clairsentience, and like you feel, like you get a feeling. My body will talk to me in crazy, crazy ways. Like I will ripple, or my head will be like, yes. My kids will be like, Mom, why are you nodding? Because I asked myself a question.
That's so powerful. It's really powerful feedback when you can tap into your intuitive languages. And we all have all of them, but we've usually refined two or three. And what are your others?
I think as time went on, like when I first went to intuition school, essentially I was very visually defined. I would see someone's dog. I would see, I would see scenarios, and I still do, especially when I'm reading the Akashic records for people and past life information comes up. It's almost 100% visual, like, oh, you were a nun and this is happening, and like being able to go to the root of a problem someone has and pour light into it and change it is one of my huge skills. And over time, that I still have that visual that hasn't gone away, but the clairaudience, the listening has definitely developed a lot. I hear angels, beings talk to me. I'll tell them no. And then
Yeah,
and then
boundaries.
when I don't listen to angels, life doesn't work as well. I'll say I'm sorry, and they'll say no, you aren't really, but it's okay. We still love you.
Yeah, and that said, it's all love. All of this experience of intuition is all love. And these are all methods for kind of fine-tuning your path.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the first experience I had of intuition was being 8 and knowing, I mean, this is what I remember, and knowing something very bad was happening. Like I just had
Hmm.
this gut feeling like something is off. And so I was in ballet class, and downstairs in the parking lot, someone was breaking into our van and stealing all sorts of stuff. And that knowing actually really scared me. And that happens to a lot of people. I have a
Yes.
class on my website. I forgot the name of it. It's called like Unlocking Your Intuition or something like that. But one of the large parts of that class is unlocking places where we've shut it down because it was scary. I have clients who they saw in their mind something bad happening to their friend, like their friend being in a car accident or something like that. And then it actually happened. And they thought, oh, I was the cause of it. And no, you weren't the cause of it. But because of that, they shut down that capacity because that was scary, which is one of the reasons that developing the root chakra or the first energy center and having a buoyant, strong root is so essential for developing greater intuition. If you think of, the name of that energy center is the root. If you think of roots on a tree, in order to grow up and to be a strong, powerful plant, you need good solid roots. And similarly,
Absolutely.
in order to see things and hear things and know things and voice things, and it's particularly important when you're going to be someone who voices intuition to others, to have that strong root, to be sort of anchored in your knowing and anchored in yourself and your capacity to do that. Yes, not everyone's going to agree necessarily, especially when there's not a logical reason why, but also, that strong sense of self and safety, and like I'm not causing bad bad things to happen. I'm just aware like that.
And we all have this power, you guys. We all have this power to connect into these various forms of intuition. And whether you've shut one avenue down, another will surface, another will come up because we're always multidimensionally connected. And the more we're rooted into that root chakra, into that grounding, whatever your practices are, there are practices, of course, on this podcast. And Kathy has practices on her website as well. Just really being able to trust that you're standing on your own 2 feet with the information you're receiving. It's coming through that portal of possibility, that portal of the heart. And it is really powerful and really specific too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you say, we're multidimensional, so we know so much more than just what this knows, right? And they say, a full third of the nervous system is in the gut. So when we get these gut feelings,
This is the powerful intuition coming through that chakra. Do you want to talk a little bit about that second chakra in the gut?
so really, yeah. Every chakra is important. The more we can develop and clear our own energy, it just becomes easier to intuit. But I say that there are this in the region of the second chakra, what's most important is to differentiate between what's yours and what's another person's. Because if you're empathic and I can relate, it's huge that we can take on another's feeling, another's emotion, and carry it and try to figure it out and wonder why do I have this angst, or why do I have this sadness, and it was never ours to begin with. We just picked up on it earlier in the day and walked off as though it's uh,
In
you
our
know
supportive roles, carrying it with us.
yeah, yeah. And uh, uh, I like to say carrying someone else's backpack is not going to serve them, and it's certainly not going to serve you. Right? Ultimately, they have to deal with this stuff in their backpack. So, yeah, yeah, until we have a donkey to do it for us.
Yes, yes, right. So those energetic boundaries are super important, and being able to ground into that root chakra and be in that quiet space to really listen and reflect what's yours, what's mine, what am I hearing, sensing, feeling, imagining, visualizing, to tap into that intuitive part of us.
Yeah, and those are all such great questions, again, just shining more and more awareness, and then when we get a symbol or a feeling, like exploring, what is that? Because the other place people trip themselves up sometimes is they get a feeling like maybe maybe it's a strong feeling like something's off. And then instead of questioning, well, what exactly is that? Oh, I'll give a quick example. A friend of mine wanted to have a class on Maui, and she said, "Well, how about the beach?" And I thought, "Okay, cool. We'll have the class on the beach." And immediately a beach came to mind. And then I went to conclusion on top of that. I was like, "Oh, they don't have the shade and this and that." And instead of asking, is there a spot on that beach that would be ideal for us? Right? So we try to override our intuition with logic sometimes. Oh, don't get on that elevator with that guy. And you're like, no, no, it's fine. And it's like, no, it's not fine. And so there's that, but there's also the reverse where okay, you get a feeling, and then or a visual, and then you conclude that it means this, instead of saying, well, what elements about that don't work? So maybe let's go back to my beach example. Maybe I think to myself, maybe I have the opposite thing where it's like she wants to do a beach and I get a no, right? And it's like, oh, well, then instead of getting no, concluding that that's a no, maybe it's oh, well, that wouldn't work at that time of day, but would we like to do it earlier? Or, so asking questions and sort of unpacking your own intuition. Is there a reason that feels off? Oh, high tide. I'm getting the sense that that might be high tide and that's why it would be off. Just getting to know your intuition like having a conversation with a friend.
Beautiful. I love that, especially for people who are able to receive with confidence. I'm wondering what tools or exercises you might have to help build that confidence in receiving.
So definitely anchoring in your and grounding, which I have an exercise on my website. It's a little bit longer, so I'm not going to guide that now, but really grounding and connecting down into the earth is super powerful. And then one thing, like I mentioned earlier, just taking a couple of breaths, getting really still and anchoring into the confidence can come from seeing when you have had accurate intuition in the past, right? So, oh, bring to mind an experience in which my intuition was spot on. Or maybe you don't have that, but you can bring to mind, oh, I called so and so when they were thinking of me. That's also intuition, right? So just pointing out and highlighting, putting the highlighter on times you've already been successful, times you've already had it work out. Because
Evidence.
yeah, it's evidence because what we tend to do is look at the times when it didn't work out,
Of
right? And
course.
like, oh, I'm wrong, or well, that doesn't work, and this and that. And it's like, no, start to find that evidence that, you have something that's working and you can keep going in that direction. But getting quiet as well and then bringing your energy. We could even think of rooting down. So going down through the layers of rock, sending roots down into the center of the earth and feeling connected. And then, like a tree trunk, pulling energy up through your belly into your heart. And then, after taking some breaths here, you would bring your awareness into your third eye. And I like to think of the third eye as though you have a light-filled room at the center of your head. And so you're just being in that space for a little while. Then you can invite your awareness deeper and deeper into that point between your eyebrows, just deeper and deeper inward without tension. So if you find that that's creeping in, then don't go so deeply inward. Just imagining light-filled space. Sometimes I think also of an art gallery because there's not much going on in the center of the room or an art museum. So there's a blank space. And it's useful to be very, very relaxed. And then when you ask a question, just see what arises. And information could come in the form of a visual or words or sound or a feeling or something else. Some people even get smells. So this is a practice to awaken and deepen your connection to the third eye, that intuitive center. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, practices like that. And then just checking with the body. Also, in the middle of the day, I have a choice to make. Okay, what does my belly feel about it? Like, what does my second chakra feel? What does my low belly feel? The
And is
sacral.
the heart speaking any words, any
Yeah,
feelings,
yeah,
any senses? Yeah.
yeah. So just checking in it can be so powerful, and simple as long and you can make that a habit.
Yeah. Simple practices are always the win to becoming that portal of possibility. So if you'd like to work with Kathy, you can find her. Kathy would like to share some of the, like, what current offerings you have and what's going on for you.
Oh, thank you, Leslie. Yeah, on my website, there are some free resources for intuition. There are also a couple of classes. I think, yes, the name of it was Clearing the Blocks to Your Intuition, and it's like an hour and a half and unpeels some of the layers of stuff we've plastered on our intuition. So there are those, and those you can do on your own time. And I offer Akashic Record sessions and trainings and retreats of all types. So the next one is the Big Island coming up. We're going to explore intuition and connection to your multidimensional self. And in June, we go swim with dolphins, and it's truly magical and blissful because these creatures open up so much joy and almost open us up into our childlike curiosity, which is the beautiful space where intuition loves to play. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us. And everyone, you can check out Kathy's offerings through her website. I'll put those in the show notes and keep checking in with that core self to find yourself as that portal of possibility.
Thank you. Yes.
And if that episode resonated with you and you'd like to go deeper into your healing journey, check out my newly released book, Centered: The Art of Living from Within, now available on Amazon. Or head over to centeredbyleslie.com to schedule a no-cost strategy session for wellness coaching, Ayurvedic therapies and herbal consults, back pain healing, and yoga. I'm looking forward to working with you.